None of the guests at Le Celeste that evening could have guessed that a single quiet act would forever change 3 lives. Nor did Ana Morales, the waitress juggling her second shift of the day, realize that fate was watching her more closely than ever. By 6 p.m., Ana was tying her apron, doing her best to hide the aching in her calves, the aftermath of her early morning office cleaning job that had started at 5 a.m. She lived in a tiny rented room in East Vancouver where the hum of streetcars and the hiss of a faulty heater made up the soundtrack of her nights. Her cracked phone screen showed that rent was due in a week. Inside her wallet, just $42. The restaurant catered to Vancouver's elite, CEOs, politicians, celebrities. But Ana had never felt part of that world, more like background decor, as polished as the wine glasses, as replaceable as the candles swapped out nightly. She never imagined she could change anything in the lives of those powerful people. Tonight, like so many others, she only wanted to do her job well, avoid trouble, finish her shift, and head home to a pack of instant noodles. Table 6, top priority tonight, VIP guest. The manager's voice crackled through the earpiece clipped to Anna's collar. She took a deep breath, smoothed her ponytail, and walked toward the table by the tall window that overlooked the harbor. The man in the charcoal suit was staring intently at his phone, one hand gripping a glass of ice water. Beside him sat a little girl, maybe 6 years old, legs swinging above the floor, quietly poking at her silver fork. Her features mirrored his, definitely father and daughter. Ana offered her polished smile, the one she had practiced hundreds of times in the mirror, and approached. "Good evening. I'm Ana, and I'll be looking after you tonight." Her voice was a bit hoarse, part fatigue, part hours of speaking nonstop. The man raised a finger to signal silence, eyes still on the screen. Ana nodded and waited, her gaze naturally drifting to the child. "My name is Lily," the little girl whispered, tracing circles on the tabletop with her finger. "Hi, Lily," Ana whispered back, giving a playful wink. It was the first genuine smile she'd given all day, and the first she'd seen on the child's face. The man ended his call and looked up. "Water with ice for me, apple juice for her." "Of course, sir," Ana replied, jotting the order before walking away. While waiting for the drinks, she glanced back at table 6. Lily was still toying with her napkin, her father already buried in his screen again. There was something familiar in the scene, though Ana couldn't quite place it. It hit her only when she returned with the drinks. She had been that child once, sitting quietly in the corners of her mother's late-night shifts, trying to be invisible. A knot tightened in her chest. "Have you decided on your meal?" Ana asked, setting the drinks down. "I'll have the filet with red wine sauce, rare," the man said without even glancing at the menu. "And Lily," he hesitated, looking at the little girl, who now seemed to have lost all interest in eating. "I don't want anything," the girl murmured, curling deeper into her seat. "Lily, we've talked about this. You need to have dinner." His voice wasn't angry, just tired, the kind of weariness Ana Morales knew all too well, like someone fighting the same battle over and over again. "May I suggest something special?" Ana offered, taking a risk and stepping slightly beyond what was allowed. "We have a dish that's not on the menu. It's called The Chef's Secret for Little Adventurers." Lily's expression changed instantly. Her eyes lit up with curiosity. The father seemed surprised, but gave a small nod, allowing Ana to continue. "It's like a treasure hunt on a plate," Ana explained, crouching to Lily's eye level. "The chef hides tasty surprises under different layers. Each spoonful could be something new." "Does it have green stuff?" the girl asked suspiciously. "A little," Ana admitted, "but they're storytelling greens. You know, broccoli is like a fairy tree where little forest fairies live." The father watched the exchange with an unreadable expression, surprise and something deeper, while his daughter smiled for the first time that evening. "Let's try the special dish," he said, closing the menu. Anna felt a strange sense of triumph. It was just a fleeting moment amid the daily grind, but that smile on the little girl's face gave her an unexpected warmth. When she brought the food, a perfectly seared filet for the father and a colorful, playfully arranged plate for Lily, she noticed the atmosphere at the table had softened. The man had put away his phone and now listened as his daughter told stories about school between curious bites of the mysterious meal. "Is everything all right?" Anna asked after a few minutes. "Absolutely perfect," he replied with a subtle smile, something that didn't seem to visit his face often. "And what about you, Lily?" "I found the treasure," the girl beamed, holding up a gooey piece of melted cheese hidden beneath a magic mushroom, which was actually a meatball. Anna smiled and returned to her work. Other tables began calling for service. Orders came in rapidly, and Leandro kept shooting warning glances whenever she lingered too long. But her eyes couldn't help drifting back to table 6, where the little girl occasionally glanced around the room as if searching for her, as though they had just shared a secret. And then, during dessert, everything unexpectedly changed. When she was pouring coffee at a nearby table when it happened, a sharp cough, then a chair scraping violently. Anna turned and saw Lily standing abruptly, hands at her throat, face reddening fast. Her eyes were wide, terrified. "Lily!" the man shouted, knocking his chair back. No one else moved. Anna dropped the tray on the nearest table and ran. In the chaos, her body remembered the training others treated like a formality, the Heimlich maneuver. She crouched behind the child, wrapped her arms around her small body, and thrust 3 times, fast, precise. A tiny piece of chocolate shot out of Lily's mouth. The little girl gasped, then began to cry. Anna held her close, whispering, "Breathe, sweetheart. You're safe now." Ethan dropped to his knees beside them, his face pale, hands shaking as he grasped his daughter's tiny fingers. "Are you okay?" Lily nodded, eyes still wet. Then she looked at Anna, a gaze filled with gratitude words couldn't carry. Silence swept across the restaurant like a heavy curtain. When Anna stood, she noticed Layla, the shift manager, storming toward her with Ricardo, the owner, right behind. "What's going on here?" Ricardo's voice cut the air like ice. "The waitress," Ethan began, but Ricardo cut him off. "Mr. Caldwell, our sincerest apologies for the disruption." He stepped in, almost physically shielding Anna from view. "My daughter was choking," Ethan said firmly. "And your employee, she saved her life. Anna, please go to my office." "Now," Ricardo said, not even glancing at her. Anna knew that tone. She knew it too well. Her eyes met Lily's, the little girl clutching her father's hand, watching her with worry. "I'm okay," Lily mouthed silently, trying to protect the woman who had protected her. And Anna walked, head high, shoulders square, toward the office. Whatever was waiting there, she would face it, without regret. On the invisible scale of her life, the safety of a child and the look of gratitude in her eyes weighed more than any job ever could. Ricardo didn't bother with pleasantries. 20 years in this business, and I've never seen such unprofessional behavior, he roared after slamming the office door shut. Creating an unnecessary scene, getting personal with a guest, abandoning the rest of your tables. "But the little girl was choking," Anna replied calmly. "I just did what anyone would have done." "No, you did what you wanted, not what you were supposed to do," Ricardo snapped. "We have procedures, hierarchy, a reputation." "Do you even know who Ethan Caldwell is? One of the biggest businessmen in the South. He comes here for discretion, for impeccable service, not to witness a circus act from a waitress who doesn't know her place." Those words cut like tiny knives, but Anna stood tall. Know your place. That phrase echoed in her mind, soaked with all the injustice that had haunted her life up to that moment. "I'm being fired, aren't I?" she asked, surprised by how steady her voice remained. "Termination with cause, no benefits. Pack up your things and don't come back." Ricardo shoved a paper toward her. "Sign here." The pen felt heavier than the world in her hand. Each stroke of her signature spelled another month of struggle, another unpaid bill, another door closed. But her hand didn't tremble. As she left the restaurant through the back door into the cold night, Anna finally allowed herself to feel the full weight of the shock. The bus stop was empty. She sat on the metal bench under the dim yellow streetlight, letting a single tear roll down her cheek. The next morning, Anna sat quietly in her tiny kitchen, both hands wrapped around a mug of strong black coffee, the last of what she had left. Her eyes stared blankly at the calendar taped to the refrigerator door. A red circle marked the rent due date, only 3 days away. She didn't even have a third of it. Her phone buzzed. The cracked screen lit up with Carla's name. Her friend from the morning cleaning job. "Anna, there's a guy here asking about you," Carla whispered, sounding both nervous and curious. "Dressed like he just walked off a magazine cover, expensive car, asked for you by name." Anna's grip on the cup tightened. Did he say what he wanted? "Just left a business card. Name's Ethan Caldwell." Carla hesitated. "I took a photo. Sending it now." Seconds later, the image popped up. A clean, white card, the name Ethan Caldwell embossed in silver, with the logo of Caldwell & Company, one of the top real estate firms in the city. Anna's heart skipped. Before she could react, the doorbell rang. Not timid, but firm and deliberate. Anna froze. For a moment, all worst-case scenarios flashed through her mind: lawsuits, accusations, the media. She walked to the door slowly. No peephole. "Who is it?" "Ethan Caldwell. I apologize for showing up unannounced, but I need to speak with you." She hesitated. He knew her name, her address, her former job, but his tone was calm, not threatening. "Just 5 minutes," he added. After a long pause, Anna unlocked the door. Standing there was Ethan, still refined, but less cold, and Lily holding his hand, big brown eyes looking up at Anna. "Good morning," Ethan said gently. "I understand you were fired for saving my daughter, and I believe I have something I should do about that." Lily whispered, "I missed you." Anna's heart clenched. Her fears lost their grip. She invited them in. For some reason, she felt safe, but she wasn't ready for what Ethan would say next. "What do you want?" she asked directly. "First," he said, resting a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder, "I want you to know that Lily is okay, thanks to you." The little girl offered a shy smile. "Thank you for saving me," she said softly, her voice pure and light, one of those rare, sincere thank yous only a child could give. Something inside Anna softened. The fear subsided, replaced by a cautious curiosity. "I'm glad you're okay," Anna replied, crouching slightly to meet her gaze. "That must have been scary, wasn't it?" Lily nodded vigorously. "Dad said you're a hero." Anna looked up in surprise at Ethan. He looked slightly embarrassed, but held her gaze firmly. "In fact, that's why I'm here," he said. "I heard you were fired for helping my daughter." Anna tensed again. "Yes, that's true, but it's fine. You don't have to—" "I'm not blaming anyone." "But I am," Ethan said, his tone sharpening. "The way Ricardo handled it was absurd. I tried to speak with him after you left, but he kept insisting it was an internal matter." There was unmistakable disdain in his voice. "Is that how things usually work in this industry?" he asked. Anna shrugged. "There are rules. I broke them." "No, you saved my daughter," Ethan said firmly. "And for that, I want to do something in return." Anna immediately grew wary. What she feared most was the pity of the wealthy. It often came with condescension. "If you're offering money," she said quickly, "I'll have to decline. I don't need charity." "It's not charity," he shook his head. "It's gratitude." He gave a small, respectful bow. I stood frozen while my daughter choked. "You acted." Silence filled the air. Lily looked between them, sensing something important happening, even if she didn't fully understand. "May I come in?" Ethan asked gently. "I promise not to take much of your time." Anna hesitated, but then nodded and opened the door. Inside the modest apartment, Ethan stepped in, his eyes quickly scanning the small space, the old wooden table, the bare walls, the cramped kitchen corner. Lily still held his hand, but her eyes lit up seeing Anna again. "Would you like something to drink?" Anna asked out of habit. "No, thank you," Ethan replied, his expression turning serious again. "Anna, I'm here to offer you a job." "A job?" She raised an eyebrow. "What kind of job?" "To take care of Lily," he said. "A sort of personal assistant, taking her to school, helping with activities, being there when I'm tied up with work. I need someone I can trust." Anna was stunned. "You trust me? I'm just a waitress you happened to meet." "You're not just a waitress," Ethan replied, looking directly at her. "You were the one who acted when others didn't. You genuinely care." Lily chimed in. "She even made broccoli into fairy houses." Anna laughed. "That was just a trick to get you to eat vegetables." "But it worked," Ethan said, sounding genuinely surprised. "I've never been able to do that." Another pause. Anna looked at the child, then at the powerful man standing in her small living room. "You think I'm capable?" "You have a heart. The rest can be learned," he said gently. "Besides, I've never seen her take to anyone so quickly." Lily nodded enthusiastically. "She knows how to braid hair, too." Ethan smiled. "That's exactly why I want you close to her." Anna was silent for a moment after hearing the offer. A part of her wanted to refuse immediately. It was too sudden, too different from the life she had always known. But Lily's eyes, filled with trust and hope, made it impossible for her to say no outright. "The salary will be double what you made at the restaurant," Ethan said, as if sensing her thoughts. "With full benefits. I can provide an advance if needed." His eyes swept across the apartment once more, not with judgment, but Anna still felt a sting of shame. Pride and necessity wrestled inside her. That money could help her pay rent, cover the electric bill, buy medicine for her grandmother back in the village. It could change everything. "But why me?" she blurted out, the question she'd been avoiding since the beginning. Ethan fell quiet for a moment, then turned to his daughter. "Because you saw her," he said softly. "Not as Ethan Caldwell's daughter, not as a duty or an opportunity, just a child who needed help. You have no idea how rare that is in my world." For the first time, Anna no longer saw a cold businessman in front of her, but a tired, grateful father. "I need to think about it," she said honestly. Ethan nodded. "Of course." He pulled out an envelope and placed it on the table. "Inside is my card and the details of the offer. There's also an advance, should you choose to accept." Anna was about to decline, but Ethan gently interrupted. "It's not charity. It's an investment in the person I trust most to care for the most precious thing in my life." Lily, who had been quiet all this time, turned to Anna with wide eyes. "Daddy, can I ask her something?" she said, looking to him for permission. Ethan nodded. "Do you know how to braid hair?" Lily asked, eyes sparkling. "Marlene's braids are always messy, and Daddy only knows how to do ponytails." The innocent, sweet question broke through the tension like sunshine through clouds. Anna chuckled softly and nodded. I know lots of braids. My grandma taught me when I was about your age." The girl's face lit up as she turned to her dad, clearly saying, "See?" Ethan smiled, the first genuine smile she'd ever seen from him. "Looks like I just lost my last argument." When they left, Anna closed the door gently, leaned back against it, and slid down to the floor. The envelope on the table seemed to glow in the dim apartment. Inside was a chance, a beginning, a change. "One day at a time," she whispered. And for the first time in many months, those words carried hope. The mansion stood quietly atop a West Vancouver hill, far from the hum of traffic and city noise. Anna sat in the back seat of the taxi, her hand gripping the worn strap of a canvas bag that held a few changes of clothes and a frayed notebook. She still couldn't quite believe she was on her way to live and work, maybe even stay, in Ethan Caldwell's home. She took a deep breath before stepping out. When the door opened, a neatly dressed woman in her 50s greeted her. "Miss Morales, I'm Marlene, the house manager. Please come in. Your room is ready." Her room was on the upper floor across from Lily's. Not large, but warm and thoughtful. The pale blue walls matched the sky Anna used to watch through her tiny apartment window. A small bookshelf held classics and several books on astronomy, carefully arranged. Somehow, it felt like someone had been listening to little things she'd once mentioned in passing. That afternoon, Lily took Anna on a tour of the house. "This is where I read," she said, pointing to a small chair by the window. "And this is where I hide candy so Daddy won't find it." Anna laughed. Lily held her hand the whole time, as if Anna were someone familiar returning home. The first day passed faster than expected. Anna read bedtime stories with Lily, then gently braided her hair into 2 neat plaits. "I look like a Viking princess," Lily whispered, eyes shining. As for Ethan, still absorbed in meetings and phone calls, he passed through the living room a few times. Each time, his gaze lingered on the two of them. He said nothing, but there was something different in his eyes. Relief, gratitude, and perhaps something more. The next morning, they shared their first breakfast together: toast, boiled eggs, fresh strawberries. Lily chattered about a dream involving dragons. Ethan listened, smiling, not politely, but genuinely. For the first time in years, Anna didn't feel like just the help. She didn't quite belong, not yet, but she wasn't a stranger anymore either. When Lily left the table to grab more colored pens, Ethan turned to Anna. "You've given her something I couldn't buy. Peace." Anna didn't know how to answer, but their eyes met for a few seconds, and that was enough. From the early days living with the Caldwell family, Anna began to notice that the silence in the mansion wasn't peace. It was emptiness. The house was vast, flawless down to every detail, yet cold, like everything inside it was waiting for something to happen. But then Lily started laughing more. Her footsteps echoed down the hall every morning. Drawings appeared on the fridge. Fairy tales came to life in bedtime voices. Anna brought life. Quiet, but undeniable. At first, Ethan kept his distance. His schedule was relentless, meetings nonstop, and his gaze always slightly averted when they passed each other in the hall or kitchen. But slowly, that changed. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Anna brought a blanket out to the backyard to stargaze, a habit from her childhood with her grandmother. She didn't expect anyone else, but as she pointed quietly to a faint constellation, Ethan's voice rose behind her. "You like the night sky?" Anna startled, then nodded. "I used to lie for hours with my grandma, finding shapes in the stars. They made me feel small, but peaceful." Ethan sat in the chair beside her. The silence that followed was long, but not awkward. "Lily says you tell stories like you've lived them." Anna smiled. "Children don't always need facts. Sometimes they need just enough magic to believe in tomorrow. Their eyes met, and for the first time, Anna didn't see the polished businessman, but a tired father doing his best not to fall apart. "You seem to understand her better than I ever have," he said quietly. Anna shook her head. "Not understand. Just, I used to be a lily. Quiet, lost, waiting for someone to notice me." In that moment, Ethan looked at her, longer than usual. No flirting, just honest attention. Something Anna had rarely received from someone like him. After that night, their conversations became a quiet rhythm. Not scheduled, not frequent, but enough to warm the house. They spoke of childhood, of loss, of things never said aloud. And then, one day, Lily, with the disarming bluntness only a child can offer, tilted her head and asked, "Daddy smiles different when he looks at Miss Anna, not his work smile. A warmer one?" Anna flushed. Ethan looked away, but a small curve tugged at his lips. And inside Anna, something had begun to grow, like the first star in the evening sky. Quiet, steady, and impossible to ignore. That afternoon, as Anna picked Lily up from her art class, the little girl practically bounced out of the car with excitement. "Daddy has a surprise for you," Lily shouted. "I'm not supposed to tell, but I'm really bad at keeping secrets." Anna laughed, thinking it might be a book or perhaps a special dinner. But when they stepped into the backyard, she stopped in her tracks. In the far corner, where once there was only empty lawn, now stood a small domed structure made of glass and black steel, a miniature observatory, complete with a mounted telescope, cushioned chairs, and strings of soft lights twinkling along the frame. Ethan stood beside it, hands in his pockets, looking slightly uncertain. "Lily told me about your habit of stargazing," he said, "and I thought maybe you needed a place where you could still be you, even here." Anna looked around. It was all so thoughtful, so personal, not an extravagant gesture, but a gift born of truly listening. Her heart fluttered. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Ethan replied, his voice low and unexpectedly warm. "I just wanted you to know, I see you. I see what you do, and I see who you are." Their eyes met, this time no avoidance, no hesitation, just two people who had stopped pretending not to feel. She stepped closer. So did he. No dramatic music, no rehearsed lines, only silence, thick with everything unsaid. When their lips touched, it wasn't rushed or desperate, it was acceptance. Gentle, honest, right. A loud ahem broke the moment. Lily stood by the glass door, arms crossed, eyes wide. "I knew it! I saw Daddy look at Miss Anna just like in those romantic movies." Anna flushed. Ethan chuckled. Lily waved and walked off, as if she had just solved a grand mystery. They stood there for another moment, silent, but no longer distant. And from that point on, everything that hadn't been spoken was finally understood. After that night at the observatory, nothing changed instantly. There was no official announcement, no dramatic shift. But in the smallest ways, something new began to grow between them. Ethan started coming home a little earlier each day. Family dinners were filled with more laughter. Lily often held both their hands as they walked through the garden, her eyes sparkling like she'd been waiting for this all along. Anna felt her heart open, not through sudden attraction, but through trust. The kind she once believed she would never find in a place like this. Still, fear lingered like a shadow. She didn't belong to this world. She was someone who had once been fired just for doing the right thing. If this fell apart, she could lose everything, her job, her home, and most of all, Lily. Just when Anna Morales thought the peaceful days might finally last, reality stirred beyond the mansion gates. Ethan Caldwell, the notoriously private billionaire who had avoided romantic rumors for nearly a decade, suddenly appeared at a high-profile charity gala with a mystery woman by his daughter's side. It only took a few photographs, a light touch of hands, a lingering glance between Anna and Ethan for social media to erupt. Who is that woman? She looks like the help. So Ethan, simple, understated, but you can tell there's depth. Anna had no idea. Not until Marlene, with an apologetic look, placed a magazine on the breakfast table. On the cover, a photo of her and Ethan, their hands gently touching in the garden. Ethan walked in moments later. He looked at the photo, then at Anna. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have been more careful." Anna fell silent. "I'm not used to being stared at, like I don't belong." "But you do belong," Ethan said firmly. "You were there for Lily when I couldn't be. You brought real laughter into this house." She bit her lip, uncertainty flashing in her eyes. "And others? Do they think the same? What about her mother?" Ethan didn't answer, and just as Anna feared, she showed up sooner than expected. That evening was the 7th birthday party of the son of one of Ethan's close friends. A lavish event, swarming with reporters, celebrities, executives, and Laura, Ethan's ex-wife, Lily's biological mother. Anna didn't know what to wear. Marlene helped her pick a simple pale blue dress, elegant, flattering, and understated. "Just be yourself," Marlene said. "What people fear most is a truth they can't control." At the party, Anna kept her distance. She stayed close to Lily, took pictures, chatted with the kids, even wiped ice cream off a little girl's dress. She kept reminding herself, "I'm just the caregiver." But the eyes around her, and more importantly, the eyes of Laura, told a different story. Laura approached, her red dress blazing like fire, golden hair swept into a flawless updo. "And you are?" she asked, voice sweet as sugar but sharp as glass. "Anna. I work with Ethan and care for Lily," Anna answered calmly, without bowing her head. "Well, that's quite the job," Laura smiled. "But I think people may have misunderstood your role." Anna smiled politely, saying nothing. Just then, Ethan walked over, gently placing a hand on Anna's back. "Talking to Anna?" he asked Laura, voice casual. "She's not just Lily's caregiver. She's part of this family." Silence fell. For a moment, Laura stiffened. "Family?" she repeated with a scoff. "How interesting." That night, back at home, Anna said nothing. She sat alone on the porch, staring at the soft glow of garden lights. Ethan brought her a cup of warm tea. "I'm sorry," he said, "if you feel caught between two worlds." "No," she whispered. "I just need to know. Do you regret it?" He looked at her for a long time. "I only regret not meeting you sooner." One evening, while they were cleaning up after dinner, Anna spoke hesitantly. If what's happening between us complicates things too much, I can step away. Before it gets too hard." Ethan set down a glass and turned to face her. "Anna, I don't want to lose you just to keep things safe. I don't care what's right by everyone else. I care about what's right for us." Then Lily walked into the room, holding a crayon drawing. On it were 3 figures, a father, a little girl, and a long-haired woman holding both their hands. "This is my family," Lily said, as if it were the most obvious truth in the world. Anna looked at Ethan. Ethan looked at Anna. And nothing else needed to be said. In their hearts, one thing had become clear. They weren't just falling in love. They were choosing each other, choosing to build something real, starting now. One quiet Sunday afternoon, as sunlight stretched across the garden, Ethan led Anna to the greenhouse, the very place where they had planted lavender together for the first time. Now, that lavender bloomed in full, vibrant purple. "I remember you once said," Ethan began, that some feelings arrive unexpectedly. Anna nodded softly. She wore a simple white dress, her hair braided to one side, radiant in a quiet, pure way, like the trust she had sown into this home. "But today, I don't want anything to arrive unexpectedly," he continued, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a delicate ring, simple but finely engraved with 3 small words. "Por nos tres," for the 3 of us. Anna couldn't breathe. "It's not a rushed proposal," Ethan said gently. "It's an invitation to be a family, not because of a contract, not out of loneliness, but because of love. Because you're the first person who's made me want to stay home, want to laugh, want to slow down." Tears slipped from Anna's eyes, not from doubt, but because for the first time in her life, she didn't have to fight to be chosen. She was loved unconditionally. That evening, as they sat down for dinner, Lily spotted the ring on Anna's hand and exclaimed, "Finally, someone's marrying my dad." Ethan nearly choked, and Anna laughed through her tears. "Not marrying just yet," she said, brushing Lily's hair. "We've just agreed to walk forward together, one step at a time." Lily tilted her head, thinking, then grinned mischievously. "So first step is moving your stuff into my dad's room, right?" The 3 of them burst into laughter. No one needed to answer, because in their hearts they already knew they had been a family all along. Time never announces when it's changing everything. It just passes, one day after another, until you look up and realize that nothing around you is quite the same. 2 years had passed since the night Ethan stood beside Anna under the glass observatory dome, when they quietly acknowledged the feelings neither had dared to voice. There was no big declaration, no grand wedding, just the quiet, steady stitching of shared life into something undeniable. A family. The night sky was crystal clear, stars scattered like handfuls of glitter tossed across the dark. On the backyard lawn, Lily sat cross-legged, cradling a tiny bundle wrapped in a soft blanket, her baby brother Lucas fast asleep. Anna sat beside her, eyes turned skyward, her hand resting gently in Ethan's. A quiet, familiar reflex. The breeze brushed her hair, carrying with it a piece she'd never imagined would belong to her. "Today's his first birthday," Lily whispered, careful not to wake him. "That's right," Anna smiled, glancing down at the tiny face. "And he gets to spend it under a sky filled with family." She didn't need to speak it aloud, but inside, Anna felt something complete. Not success, not luxury, but the deep certainty of being exactly where she was meant to be. Ethan turned toward her, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead, as if it was the only way to thank the universe for sending her into his life. "It all started with one night at a restaurant," he murmured. "And with a little girl who wouldn't eat anything," Anna teased, making them both chuckle softly. Lucas shifted in Lily's arms. She looked up and pointed toward the sky. "That one's the baby bear constellation," she explained. "I'm going to tell him all the stories Miss Anna used to tell me." Anna closed her eyes in that moment and breathed deeply. She had once been invisible, a quiet presence on the edge of the world. But here, in the starlight, in the laughter of children, and in the hand wrapped tightly in hers, she knew she was fully, truly alive. None of us truly knows the moment our life will change. Sometimes it comes from a choice we never saw coming, or a quiet act of kindness, offered without expectation. Anna had no idea that her final shift at the restaurant would open the path to a home, a love, and a family. And maybe it all began when she lost the job she thought meant everything. Sometimes losing something is just life's way of making room for something better. And sometimes one small act of kindness can rewrite an entire life.